So this is pretty huge news for you Duramax owners. But check this out, General Motors has agreed to pay a $35 million settlement to you LML Duramax owners. Another thing, watch this video from start to finish, watch the entire video, because I'd be very interested to see how many people actually qualify for this. So let us know in the comments after you watch the whole video if you qualify. Actually, let us know if you don't qualify as well. I'm pretty interested to see that. But the reason for the lawsuit, GM decided to put the Bosch CP4 in these LML Duramax diesel engines, and unfortunately, these diesel injection pumps have been failing left and right since 2011. These are what are prone to fail. So they put the Bosch CP4 injection pumps in the LMLs, your 2011s to 2016s, and GM knew that they had a problem, but they continued to sell these trucks. And these things are like a ticking time bomb. It's like a wrecking ball. So after many years of fighting, a lawsuit was finally established, and now we have some answers. So we're gonna go ahead and explain that as well. So I have some good news here, and I will explain absolutely everything, but I also have some bad news because unfortunately, it doesn't count for all 50 states. I'm not exactly sure why this isn't completely across the board, but if you are one of these eligible states as well, it's a huge win for you guys. So we're gonna talk about the CP4 failures, we're gonna talk about the lawsuit, and I'm also gonna talk to you guys about some ways to combat this if you don't qualify. So I'm gonna narrow this group down to your 2011s to 2016 GM trucks with the 6.6 liter Duramax diesel engine in it. I'm gonna throw some letters out there, and if it confuses some of you guys, I do apologize. I'm gonna try to explain this the best way I can. But these diesel injection pumps are very prone to failure, your CP4s. And unfortunately, when they go, you never know when they're gonna go. They can go at 200,000 miles, they can go at 20,000 miles. But essentially, when this thing fails, it's gonna send small shavings of metal into your injection system. And it's a high pressure system, guys. We're talking like 25,000 PSI at rail. That's a lot, and it's a closed system. So basically everything that fuel touches, you will need to replace. And not only is this thing expensive, but your fuel injectors are expensive as well. So essentially you're not only gonna have to replace your injectors, but your CP4 pump, and maybe your diesel fuel filter, maybe even your diesel fuel tank, all of your fuel lines. It is a nightmare. As a matter of fact, some repairs will go from $12,000 to $16,000. It really just depends on how much your truck at that point is worth. It may even total out your vehicle value. And it's really unfair, especially for some of you guys pulling trailers or using these vehicles to hotshot, to make money, or even simply just to take a vacation with your family, pulling a camper across country, and this happens to you. We'll just say it is a bad deal. And I really don't want to waste your time with specifics, but if you do qualify for this lawsuit, which will probably be a very small amount of people, you will receive up to in excess of about $12,000. And again, if you don't qualify, we're going to talk about some measures on how to prevent this from happening. Not only do I run a YouTube channel on informative content, repairs, builds, but I also run a website, truckmasterdiesel.com, which by the way, we are running a giveaway. So every $1 spent is one automatic entry, and I'll leave that link in the comments below. But we sell a variety of truck and diesel parts. So definitely check us out if you own a Duramax, Powerstroke, or Cummins. But with all of that being said, let's go ahead and get into this lawsuit and get into the specifics. So owners of certain Chevrolet and GMC trucks can claim cash from a $35 million settlement. Estimated payments range from $400 to $12,700. Now this news hit as of October 1st, 2024, so pretty recent as of when I posted this video. So what is all of this about? Plaintiffs claim that General Motors model year 2011 to 2016 Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra trucks with a Duramax diesel 6.6 liter LML engine were equipped with a defective high pressure fuel injection pump known as the CP4, which is very fragile, and it also causes catastrophic failure. This lawsuit does not involve any claims for personal injury, and GM denies any wrongdoing and has asserted a number of defenses. The court has not decided who is right or wrong. Instead, the parties have agreed to the settlement to avoid the costs, risks, and delays associated with further litigation. So this is kind of interesting. How are you considered a class member? So you are a class member if you purchased a class truck from a GM authorized dealer in California, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, New York, Pennsylvania, or Texas from March 1st, 2010 to September 13th of 2024. Class trucks include model year 2011 to 2016 Silverado or GMC Sierra diesel pickup trucks equipped with a 6.6 liter Duramax engine and Bosch CP4 high pressure diesel fuel pumps. Now I'm going to leave a link in the description to check whether or not you are a class truck owner. And basically all you guys have to do to see if you qualify is take your VIN number and put it into this database and see if you actually pop up if you do qualify, which would be pretty cool. So what does the settlement provide? So we're going to go ahead and go over that really quick. So if approved, the settlement will provide cash payments and other valuable benefits to class members, including So $30 million to pay class members who paid out of pocket for a CP4 repair that is not covered by warranty, and they call this the repair fund. The cash you may get depends on how many valid claims are received, and the payments could range from $6,356 to $12,712. Now on to the next one, which is $5 million to pay class members who no longer own their trucks. So this is basically pertaining to all you guys that sold your vehicle already, and this is called the former owner fund. The payment you may get depends on how many valid claims are received, and the payments could range from $400 to $800. And then the very next one, which I don't really think is too fair, but you guys let me know in the comments what you think on this one. So this one's saying cash back for future repairs from a partial repair reimbursement program. So the reimbursement program provides future warranty coverage by reimbursing 50% of costs paid for a CP4 repair performed at a GM authorized dealership on or after the date of final approval of this settlement. So the reimbursement program ends 12 months after final approval or when the truck reaches 200,000 miles or whichever comes first. So we do not yet know when the 12-month future warranty period will begin because the court has not yet issued final approval. And this is the date that we're talking about here, which is January 21st, 2025, and that's the earliest the court might issue final approval. So it's very important that you guys get your claims in now. So to get a cash payment, file a claim online, and then I'll leave the online link there, or emailing. But the deadline to file claim forms is 6 months after final approval, which could be as early as July 21st, 2025. So under the reimbursement program, how do you get cash back? So it says you must obtain and pay for a CP4 repair or replacement at a GM authorized dealership on or after the date of final approval when you can complete the reimbursement request form. There's also an option to get out of the settlement, which I find is very interesting. I don't know why anybody would want to get out of this if you received money, but whatever. But you have that option as well. So what happens next? The court will hold a final approval hearing on January 21st, 2025 to consider whether the settlement is fair, reasonable, and adequate, and how much to pay out. And then in this article, it says the court has appointed law firms of all kinds of different law firms, which I don't really want to go over. But it also says we'll ask the court to award reasonable attorney fees and expenses up to $15 million, including costs. Look, I understand that, but that's a huge chunk of money. So these attorney fees and expenses are completely separate from the $35 million available to class members. And class counsel will also ask the court for a service award of $5,000 for each of the 11 class plaintiffs. And the service awards will not affect the $35 million fund for class members' payments. And then it kind of goes on to say that you can be present at this hearing. You can have your attorney, but you don't actually have to be present for all of this. Really, all you guys have to do is just simply submit a claim. So now that we have all of that out of the way, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick overview on this and then just answer some simple questions that I'm sure some of you guys are having. Now, I'm just making a simple video on informing you guys about the lawsuit. I don't know everything. I don't know all the details. But if there's things that I left out or you know a whole lot about it, please engage others in the comments. That would be super helpful. I want this to be an open forum. I really would appreciate it. I'm going to touch on just some of the questions and answers and the lawsuit allegations and defects, because I know that that's something that we sort of hit in the beginning of the video. But here's some of the specifics that the court sees. So the LML Duramax trucks, the 6.6 liters, have faulty Bosch CP4 injection pumps. And then the next one would be the pump failures and metal shavings. The lawsuits claim the pumps are prone to sudden failure, causing metal shavings to spread through and damage the fuel system. And moving on to catastrophic effects, which normally is what happens when this occurs. The pump failure and fuel contamination can allegedly lead to costly repairs, breakdowns, and even engine failure while driving. And this is actually a big one, GM's knowledge. Plaintiffs claim GM knew about the defect but kept selling the trucks without disclosing it or offering a viable fix. Then of course, last but not least, economic losses claimed. The lawsuit sought compensation for truck owners' repair costs, lost vehicle value, and or financial damages. So here's the overview of everything. You're included if you purchased your truck from a GM dealer in California, Florida, Illinois, Iowa, New York, Pennsylvania, or Texas as stated. And then the time period for this is the relevant purchase window, March 1st, 2010 through September 13th, 2024. And this is a pretty good question. I'm pretty sure that some of you guys fall under this category. Are leases included? And the answer to that is yes. And here's another good one. What if I bought from a non-GM dealer? The settlement only covers purchases from GM authorized dealers in the 7 states listed. And then what if I'm not the original owner? Am I included? And the answer to that is yes. If you bought an eligible truck within the relevant time period, even if used. And I don't know the specifics on this. If you guys know, please let me know in the comments. But why are only certain states part of this? And their answer for this one is the courts only allowed plaintiffs' claims to proceed as a class action for 7 specific states, but I don't really get a good answer on that one. And then what if I'm from another state but purchased in a class state? And to answer that, your residence is kind of irrelevant. You do qualify if you purchase that vehicle from that state that's listed in the lawsuit. So that is all of that. I just want to say that that's a lot to cover, but that's sort of the gist of everything. This video can be a mile long, but I kind of want to condense it down to under 20 minutes at least. So for the majority of you guys that are still watching this video and unfortunately don't qualify for any of this, here's some ways that you guys can prevent this from happening. So I would say the first thing is diesel fuel quality. Be very, very careful about where you get your diesel fuel. Some truck owners are saying that they get their diesel fuel from truck stations or truck stops. I suppose their fuel quality is much better than just your local gas station, some of your local mom and pop gas stations. I'm also hearing people say that they add a lot of water to diesel fuel to add more volume to it so they can sell it to you and they can make more of a profit. I don't know how true that is. So the best quality diesel fuel, to the best of your knowledge, I would stick with that fuel station. That's kind of where I'm getting at on that. But please let us know in the comments if you know a little bit more about this, where the best place is to get diesel. And for a lot of you guys, head to the comment section. It's going to be super helpful, even if you don't own a Duramax. And of course, regular maintenance. Changing those diesel fuel filters out every oil change is so important. I like to change mine out every 5,000 miles, to be honest with you. You can get away with a lot longer than that. You can do every other oil change, which I would say would be between 10 to 15,000 miles. But I would highly recommend that you do it every oil change if you own a LML Duramax. I would recommend that you do that to any common rail diesel injection system as far as I'm concerned. So moving on to fuel savers, those are always a good option. I do sell those on the website at truckmasterdiesel.com. But I would say the very number one bolt-on upgrade that you guys can do to save that CP4 injection pump would be to buy a lift pump. The lift pumps that we sell not only separate the water and the dirt, but also the air from the fuel, and it delivers pure diesel fuel to your injection system. And a lot of guys that install these diesel lift pumps, they usually delete their factory fuel filter. But in that case, if you own a LML Duramax, I would actually just keep all three of them on there just to be safe. And of course, moving on to a CP3 conversion, that's going to be the solution, of course. And I do offer that on the website as well. You guys can pick up a CP3 conversion kit. So instead of running a Bosch CP4, you can go back to the CP3, which was not an issue. And like I said, that is a problem solver. If you have the means, you have the money, and you own one of these trucks, I would definitely just go ahead and do that. You guys can actually email us as well. We can give you guys some more specifics on the CP3 conversion, our pricing, things like that. We can definitely help you guys through that process. But all I gotta say is if you have the means, don't wait. Just go ahead and just get this installed now before that thing grenades, because it would be a bad deal for you. So like I said, clean diesel fuel, regular maintenance, make sure you change those fuel filters, a diesel lift pump. And if you guys can afford it and you guys can go ahead and just do it, do the CP3 conversion kit. I would recommend that. The last time that Duramax had this issue was with the LB7 Duramax, your 01s to 04s. And I know in October of 2006, which unfortunately is not a thing anymore. But if you had that specific engine, the injectors on that truck were known to fail. And GM did catch on to that, and they were reimbursing people, and they were covering their vehicles for up to 200,000 miles, which was pretty cool. But unfortunately, that's not a rule anymore. So now we have this to deal with, but the good news is that the 2017 Plus Duramaxes have got that figured out. I know they got some injector issues, but it's not as bad. And as far as I'm concerned, I think that's a very solid truck. If you guys decide to stick with your brand, your GM trucks, and you guys want to stick with Duramax, I would highly recommend an L5P if you have the money to buy one. They're pretty solid trucks. Whew, all right, that's it. That's a mouthful. So before I close this video out, oh, by the way, again, let me know in the comments if you qualify. I really want to know. I'm curious to see how many people actually qualify for that. Before I let you guys go, I'm actually pretty excited to announce that we are now offering RDS turbos. I mean, we can go a 9-blade, 10-blade, 64 millimeter, 68. But if you're seeing this and you have a diesel and you don't own a lift pump, I would highly recommend you get one anyways. Even if you don't own a 11 to 16 Duramax, I think you guys should pick these up regardless. This is just a heads up. I'm hoping that this will help somebody out, and do me a favor and hit that like button on your way out. I really would appreciate it. But with all that being said, I am out of here. We'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned.